few years ago, the North Carolina Department of Transportation finished an interstate loop around the Charlotte metropolitan area. It's very similar to the famous 465 loop around Indianapolis in concept. It was numbered 485 here in Charlotte. After that was completed, I noticed that a lot of the BP stations, which had some legacy EVgo hardware that was mostly broken due to aging out of service life, started to put in FreeWire DC fast chargers. It's progressed to the point now where circling Charlotte on the 485 loop, there's many BPs that have these FreeWire stations. Right now we're up to 10 locations where you're off the 485 loop, you can pull into a BP and charge up at FreeWire. I'm going to go to all of them. This is going to be fun. While we do, I'm going to talk about FreeWire. Currently, I'm at the Willow Oaks Crossing BP in Concord, North Carolina, which was one of the first FreeWires that I saw. It's right here. It has dual CCS cords. Both can be used at the same time. As we progress along the way, I'll talk more about FreeWire. There's plenty to talk about it and why BP probably chose FreeWire over other DC fast charging hardware. Here we go. The problem that FreeWire is trying to solve has to do with the amount of electricity flowing through DC fast chargers. When you're at home and you plug in a level 2 charger to your electric vehicle, back in the old days when there were incandescent light bulbs, the really bright ones were 100 watts. So in order to get to 1,000 watts, which is 1 kilowatt, you need 10 of those light bulbs. So at home, when you plug into a level 2 charger, basically you're doing 100 watt light bulbs, that amount of electricity flowing into your car. That's about 10 kilowatts. These DC fast chargers can go anywhere from 50 kilowatts all the way up to 350 kilowatts. So if it was 100 kilowatts, that would be 1,000 100 watt light bulbs flowing, the electricity that it would take to light up all those incandescent light bulbs flowing into your car all at once. Now the problem with that is many, and principally, if you get a lot of cars pulling all that electricity, the utility company is going to bill the people drawing that much electricity off the grid at a much higher rate. It's called a surge rate. The surge rate pricing is very ridiculous, and it makes the economic prospect of having a DC fast charger on your property unrealistic. It's just too expensive to run those things, because any benefit you might get from people walking into the store and buying a hot dog or a Slurpee or whatever is going to be wiped out once you get your electric bill, because those surge pricings are really ridiculously high. And the power companies do that because they need to protect the grid from the ebbs and flows of electricity going to any one location too severely. because that causes a disruption in the overall grid. So they discourage it by applying these surge prices. FreeWire is a way of fixing that. Now, these chargers are more expensive because inside these chargers are battery packs, and they come in expandable shelves. So you can put in one shelf of a battery pack or multiple shelves of battery packs inside these chargers. Then you can connect it to a normal grid connection. It doesn't have to be excessive, but you can put it in. It's a flexible system then. And what you do is you power the batteries from the electrical grid. Then when people like me pull up and connect their electric vehicles, they're not actually pulling electricity from the grid. They're pulling electricity from the banked energy in the batteries. And it will draw that electricity down. If you get all the way down to zero in the batteries, then what you're doing is you're just charging the cars at whatever electrical connection you have, and you'll never get surge pricing. So that seems to be why the BPs in this area have elected FreeWire, is to get around the surge pricing problem. More upfront costs with FreeWire, but you get around surge pricing. There's many other benefits to FreeWire, which I'm going to go over here shortly. We're at the shops of Highland Creek, British Petroleum location, BP station, which is on the northern edge of the 485 loop. We're going to head on out to see some more. I'm on the western side of the 485 loop at the Mountain Island BP. This particular FreeWire station was just recently installed. It's replacing one of the older EVgo stations that I mentioned. And at locations where there used to be an EVgo station, somehow they negotiated with the North Carolina Department of Transportation for the signage associated with this gas station to also reflect EV charging. It's the only time I've ever seen that is at these stations around 485, where the gas station also says EV charging. And it looks like this. I think that's pretty cool, personally. Probably what it's going to be like in the future. More gas stations are going to be advertising on interstates that they have EV charging, so you don't have to rely on apps. I know in Norway, it's uncommon to use PlugShare anymore. You just look for EV chargers as you go along your trips, and they're at almost every stop, so you don't really have to go searching for them. They're basically all over the place. Okay, so the pattern that this location followed was it was a EVgo station that was about 10 years old. It was broken. It got ripped out and replaced with this FreeWire station. Really just a couple of weeks ago. It's brand new. And I've been showing the manufacturer dates of each one of the FreeWire stations, and I'll show this one here in just a second. But the pattern they're following is when they put in the FreeWire stations, they leave them open and free to charge for, I don't know, maybe 3 months, maybe 6 months, and then they flip the switch to start billing, and normally it ends up being about 41 cents per kilowatt hour after that. Not bad. And also the charging rate fluctuates pretty wildly on these FreeWire stations, and it has to do with how much the battery pack inside there is actually full, because a full battery pack will be able to output a lot faster charge than one that's depleted. So it really depends when you pull up to a FreeWire station how much it's been used before you getting there is determining on how fast of a charge you're going to get and how big the batteries are, how much charge they have left, whether or not you're going to be pulling direct from the grid, basically bypassing the batteries, or if you're actually pulling a good charge from the batteries and how depleted those batteries are. So although that's somewhat frustrating to not know what kind of charge you're going to be getting, at least it's a DC fast charge, and there's a nice convenience store here, so even if it's slow, you're still getting a pretty good charge, and this one is free, so you can't complain about that no matter what kind of charging rate you're getting. Free 99 is a great price. All right, so let's head on to the next one. So I'm not sure if all of these BP stations are owned by one franchisee organization. It feels that way. I don't know if these are company-owned locations or not. I suspect not, because I haven't heard of FreeWire getting used at BP stations other than here in Charlotte. And they're not even used in other BP stations around Charlotte. It's just the BP stations around the 485 loop, which I find kind of suspicious, and likely it's a single franchise owner who is making the decision to put all these in. There's a couple of benefits to FreeWire, and first of all, let's see, where am I now? I am at the BP for Catawba, I don't know how to pronounce that, Catawba Village. Catawba Village. Anyway, it's another exit off the 485 loop on the west-hand side. Let's go over some of the benefits of using FreeWire. I mentioned surge pricing and being able to prevent it by using energy out of a bank battery instead of directly off the grid. That's one of them. Another one is FreeWire stations have two handles. Both handles can be used at the same time, which is not the case with Electrify America stations. So basically this one unit has two chargers, so you could use both chargers at the same time, and it basically shares the power between them. So if it would have been 150 kilowatt per cable for one cable, it'll be divided in two to 75. Now this particular one has a CHAdeMO, which normally only goes up to 50 kilowatts, and then a CCS, which is a higher rating. Let's head on to the next location, and I'll talk about some more advantages of FreeWire once we get over there. This is the 5th BP station we've made it to. It's called Rivergate Express, and it's on the south end, the extreme south end of the 485 loop. Again, a single FreeWire station. There's a Mustang Mach-E charging next to me. I don't need a charge, so I'm not going to disturb the amount of kilowatts that they're pulling in order to do their charge. Would like to talk about the other benefit of FreeWire. The technology is pretty cool, and just so everyone knows, I didn't learn this on my own. I learned this by watching other YouTube videos, principally Kyle Connor's YouTube videos. He does very good DC fast charging technology videos that I enjoy. So with FreeWire, with a single unit, you basically have two handles. Each one can provide charging to cars, unlike the Electrify America. Also, it provides you the opportunity to add a second FreeWire unit with two additional cables to give you a total of 4. Now, the benefit of that is not only having 4 cables with 2 different units, the FreeWire units actually can link together underneath the ground using an electrical cable. And what that does, if you have 2 cables, both with batteries full of juice, if one person pulls up and the battery on the first unit that they're trying to charge from is low, they can actually pull electricity from the battery on the second unit if it's still got juice in it. So it's basically it creates a shared pool of reserve energy that can be distributed to any of the 4 handles, or 6 handles, or 8 handles. So as a site expands, you link the FreeWire units together, and it increases your overall capacity for the site at large. So definitely a pretty cool technology that they have there. I'm going to head on off. We've got 5 more to do. The last one is actually still under construction. It's not open yet, so that will be kind of like the closeout location. And going to let this person finish up their charge undisturbed, take a few pictures, and get back on 485 and continue around the loop. The 6th station is in a neighborhood of Charlotte called Ballantyne. It's known for having a lot of office buildings, office parks, professional areas, not a lot of places to live. but it's a working district outside of the downtown area of Charlotte. Very popular. A lot of trendy eateries, things like that. The last thing I was going to say about FreeWire, as one of the advantages, is you could take the FreeWire cabinet, connect it to an automatic transfer switch, and should municipal power go out, your cabinet can actually power your gas station. So let's just say you have 1 or 2 cabinets of FreeWires on your property, and there's some kind of weather event or something that disrupts the municipal power to your gas station. Your gas station will then be able to be powered from the electricity that's stored in the batteries of the FreeWire units using an automatic transfer switch, and continue to let it run. I'm not quite sure how long it can run. I think I've heard about a day, depending on how many cabinets you have and how many battery shelves you have. So that's pretty cool. Even if there's like a brownout or a short-term blackout, your business can still continue to operate using the electricity. Now, what you are supposed to do in an event like that is disable the ability for someone with an electric car to show up and take all your emergency electricity away from you. So you go in there, you disable EV charging in the FreeWire systems, and then you're draining the batteries in order to run the gasoline pumps. So kind of a cool concept. Requires the use of an automatic transfer switch. Those are the advantages that I know of FreeWire. There's, let's see, 4 additional stations that we're going to stop by in order to take a look at. I'm going to stop by each one and video them just for completeness, in order to get the process of the video of the 10 stations all recorded. The district we're currently in now is the southeast section of the 485 loop. The next 3 are all on the eastern section of the 485 loop. From there, we're going to go up to the one station that's still under construction and not yet open, and we'll close the video down once we get up there. It'll probably be dark by the time we get up there. So here we go.